Welcome, my name is Matt, aka Road Jedi 88. We're getting into Star Wars gossip, heroes, mods, Master Qui-Gon Ginn, and yes, I did have an oversight. So, I saw it correctly on swgoh.gg about there being a Master Qui-Gon. I just was looking in the wrong place in the game. He is part of this one is part of the Galactic Republic. I still don't know why he didn't show up under Jedi, and why we have two different Qui-Gons is still kind of a mystery to me, because he only shows up in one film. The rest of the time he's either Force Ghost, which can't really do much. They can't interfere with the physical world, other than in Council, which would be more of a support direction if they were to add Force Ghost spirited characters into this. That'd be more of a support character at that point. I'm guessing the difference between all the time we see him working with Padme and all them, with the Naboo stuff, at that point, it kind of looks like how he was dressing when he was on Tatooine meeting Anakin. As well as, and the difference maybe the other one is like whenever he's going up against Darth Maul with his Padawan Obi-Wan. That's the only thing I can guess in the difference. Because otherwise he's either mentioned in books, which we have characters who are mostly book mentioned in this game, like Mara Jade, Dash Rendar, etc., etc., etc. But majority of the other times he's Force spirit. So so I was a little thrown off, just a little, on a couple of matters, but nonetheless, I'll repeat what I iterated in the last one, just in case you haven't seen the other one. He does go as far back as Star Wars Jedi Apprentice. After he was ready to be Jedi Master, he follows the Jedi family tree, if you will, of Yoda, who fathered Count Dooku, or Jedi Master fathered Count Dooku, Count Dooku to Qui-Gon Jinn, and Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan to Anakin Skywalker. And then Anakin Skywalker to Ahsoka Tano. That's kind of the Jedi family tree there, if you will. And he did actually, okay. So he starts off in Jedi Apprentice. And originally, he did not actually want a Jedi Padawan at all. He did not want a Padawan. But Obi-Wan, as part of the code to the Jedi Order, okay, one, they take them in, they have to be taken in just after they've been weaned from their mothers. From that point, because they don't want there to be any attachment. Growing up, it could play effects against their ability to mediate in situations whenever they grow older as Jedis. They want them to be neutral in whatever missions they would go out on. Jedis are viewed kind of a crossmates of like monks in just local police force situation. They were never meant supposed to be like either a preacher or warriors, wartime, fighters or anything like that. Palpatine created a war situation that kind of misappropriated their purpose. They're more or less just supposed to be mediators for conflicts throughout the galaxy. That's essentially what they were. They were like a cross-blend, balanced mix of monks and local police force kind of blended together, kind of a balance of those two. Jedi Apprentice, Yoda had to push Obi-Wan onto Qui-Gon because after a certain point of training as a youngling in the Jedi Temple, eventually, or the Jedi Academy, eventually you have to pick up a master by a certain age. And this book, the first book, explains this. He was about to be kicked out of the Jedi Order because he was at an age he was supposed to have a master and he did not. They actually extended his chance to stay a little longer. They allowed him to stay longer than he should have. He should have already been kicked out, in fact. But because he was good as a student, they believed in his potential. He just didn't have a master. It was about to get him in trouble. It was about to get him expelled from the Jedi Order. And Qui-Gon didn't have a Padawan. He didn't want one. Yoda didn't care. He pushed Obi-Wan onto Qui-Gon. So Jedi Apprentice is Qui-Gon taking Obi-Wan under his wings and training him. We get to see him. The last book of the Jedi Apprentice does go kind of. It ends up with them going into Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace. Qui-Gon ends up getting killed, but he came across meeting Anakin Skywalker. He wanted to train him. He believed he was a balance for the Force. It was one of the many things that kind of frustrated about the Jedi Order about Qui-Gon, because he could have been a part of the council had he not contested them so much. Now, his master, Count Dooku, we know, contested the Jedi Order quite a bit. And, of course, he went to the extremists of becoming a separatist leader. And as far as the Sith Lord, there has been suggestive theories that maybe Qui-Gon could have done the same. Even Count Dooku suggested it himself in Attack of the Clones. But I think Obi-Wan knew Qui-Gon well enough to know that while he saw problems with the Jedi Order, he might have had a bit of an extremist to him. I'm with Obi-Wan. I don't see Qui-Gon having gone so far to snap over the Sith side. He could probably at most, if he were to still been alive, I would imagine he would have gone unaligned Force direction, kind of like Ahsoka does. I can almost see that. As probably at most for Qui-Gon, if had he still been alive and saw the Clone Wars start and kind of saw the direction of everything, where everything was going. I can almost him and Ahsoka doing the same thing together, almost. And Ahsoka would be a part of that Jedi family tree too, because Anakin trains Ahsoka. Additionally, in Attack of the Clones, Count Dooku made a mention, or actually we gotta start with the Kaminoans. They made a mention about who signed for the clone armies. It was Jedi Master Sapadius. If you go to Disney's Tales of the Jedi Order, I think, or Tales of the Separatists, something, I'm trying to remember which one it was, but there is one episode where Count Dooku is seen going into the Jedi Temple library holocron, or for the Star Chart and all that stuff, just tampering with their library. And when the Kaminoans mentioned to Obi-Wan that this order was signed by Jedi Master Sapadius, Disney has suggested that it was someone totally different. But if you read Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan knew Jedi Master Sapadius as the signature name for Qui-Gon Jinn, his own master. Count Dooku, it is suggested that Count Dooku forged the signature of the clone army under Qui-Gon's Jedi Master name, which would have been Sapadius. That's what the book suggests. Disney has tried suggesting that it was someone completely different. But we also have to remember, they don't know how to read. They do a lot of screenwriting, but look at their sequel trilogy. It was evidence. Their sequel trilogy is back-to-back constant proof that they do not know how to read a single book. And the same is said about the Book of Boba Fett being proof. Once again, they don't know how to read a book because of the Bounty Hunter Wars series. So, but, yeah, Attack of the Clones, Qui-Gon is dead, but we're getting name drops of him. We're kind of finding out, we're kind of getting suggested that his own master betrayed him while he was out dealing with the Trade Federation of Naboo, who Count Dooku's new Sith Lord Master was trying to spark. Trying to get things rolling and going for the Clone Wars that he was preparing for. I mean, he talks to Obi-Wan about how Qui-Gon would probably go his direction if he saw things the way he did. But yet at the same time, he practically, I mean, he forced his own Padawan's name onto something, according to what the book suggests. Then, of course, additionally, we do actually get Qui-Gon showing up in Attack of the Clones. When Anakin is slaughtering the Tusken Raider tribe encampment, after he found his mother and his mother dies, Qui-Gon does actually break through the Force ability, trying to yell out to Anakin, trying to get his attention. The book is a lot more emphasized about it than the movie was, actually. Like, he was literally trying to call out to Anakin. Like, he understood Anakin's pain. He felt the pain through the Force, as a Force ghost, wherever he was. And he was trying to get Anakin to hit the brakes. Now, in the movie, you just simply hear his voice. But, I mean, he was trying to reach out to Anakin in the book. But from that point, all we get, when we go into Revenge of the Sith, and kind of we don't really get much info on him in the Clone Wars until maybe a little bit later when he reaches out to Yoda. But when we get into, after the Clone Wars TV series, where he does present himself as Force Ghost to Yoda, kind of helps draw Yoda to some perspective of how things are going to play out and stuff. He only gets name dropped in Revenge of the Sith. Now, we do get to see the Force Ghost spirit of him in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series. But in retrospect, he is never mentioned in anything of the George Lucas era from A New Hope past that point. And of course, probably at that time, George Lucas probably didn't really have a Jedi Master name for Obi-Wan's master. He probably didn't have all that kind of figured out at that time, because he wrote A New Hope back in the 70s. And Revenge of the Sith was that came out before 2007, something like that. I'm trying to remember. I was in high school. I think I was in junior high or high school whenever it came out. But, yeah, I mean, or whenever Revenge of the Sith came out, I was 10 years old. 8 or 9 or 10. I think I was 9 years old. Oh, wait. Phantom Menace came out in 1999. That would put me at 11. So, yeah, I was 11 years old whenever Phantom Menace came out. Qui-Gon Ginn was introduced. So, yeah, that would have put me at 9 or 11. That would have put me at 11 years old whenever Phantom Menace came out, because it came out in 99. So, yeah, really, if anything, Qui-Gon Jinn has always been just a sequel trilogy-based character, more or less. But prequel trilogy era, not sequel. But he is still the George Lucas era generation of Star Wars. So Master Qui-Gon, if you go to my first video in my mods and character playlist, I definitively break down the various different types of character roles as well as the various different types of mods and their purposes. And I explain what it is we're doing when we apply these certain types of characters to certain types of mods to certain types of characters. SWGOH.GG as well as the in-game both recommend doing speed and defense. He is a support character. Now, as I mentioned with the last Qui-Gon, with the other Qui-Gon character, if you want to keep him in a defensive aspect of his support character role, you could make him with speed and tenacity. Tenacity, by definition, means not easily torn apart. This kind of gives him a tank character-like feature of protection with that. So, That is one approach. You can make him a tank supporter, or you could go speed and potency and make him a support attacker. Whichever direction you want to go with that. So really not a whole lot of difference than what we did with the other Qui-Gon. From the looks of it. And why we have two Qui-Gons when there's only one appearance of him in a physical form in a movie. Otherwise, he's either in ghost or spirit form. Well, it was a little weird. But, okay. I mean, we'll go with it. This one does go with Galactic Republic and Jedi. So, the other one supposedly was Jedi Vanguard, and somehow Order 66, and I have no idea how they're including him as Order 66, because in storyline, if you follow the story, that makes no sense. I don't know if that's EA Games making a mistake, or that's once again Disney proving their stupidity. Despite their claim of education. I guess stupid is educational, I don't know. That wasn't how I was taught it growing up, but I do come from the George Lucas era generation of Star Wars fans, where the majority of Star Wars was actually in the books, not the movies and the games. I mean, they were there. I'm not saying that they weren't. But the majority of the stories were always written in the books. And Disney screenwriters don't know how to read a book, apparently. So, they've proven this way too many times. Way too many times. That's why they have a fan war on their hands, and that's why they're not getting rid of it until they learn how to read a book and scrap what they've done, which would be the best advice my generation could give them. Scrap the Book of Boba Fett. Scrap the sequel trilogy. Don't even come out with that new Jedi Order movie when there's already a new Jedi Order book series. Hello? Because my generation is just going to keep calling them out on it until they correct their mistakes with Star Wars. They claimed in a video that the reason why they went the direction they went with the sequel trilogy is they believed that there was no fan base for the Star Wars universe. How the hell do you end up with a fan war from a franchise that apparently has no fan base existing? Hello? Like, they just do... Oh my gosh, Disney. Y'all an embarrassment. Paramount makes y'all look bad with their Star Trek. They actually respect Gene Roddenberry and their fans. They acknowledged that there was a fan base before they did the reboot. Anyways, yeah, I know I go on these tangents against Disney. I do try to give Disney the compliments when I can spot them, because they do have their moments. And it's usually the pre- and New Hope storylines that they tend to do a little better with. When it's the post-Return of the Jedi, The Mandalorian is capable of working with. Ahsoka is grinding on thin ice. It's possible, but it's on thin ice. And they, like I said about their episode 10 claim of coming out with, that second season they need to be careful about what they're coming out with about that, because it's supposed to be the Yuzon Fongs raiding in on the galaxy from outside the galaxy, from the outside galaxy source. Chewbacca was long dead, even before they tried to do their sequel trilogy. Millennium Falcon should be painted a different color. Han painted it black as part of his little grief over losing Chewbacca. There was never any mention of... Hold on. There was never, ever a Ben Solo anywhere in the books of these... of these series. Never a Ben Solo. There was a Ben Skywalker, but that would be Luke's son, not the Solo son. It's not Imperial remnants that's threatening the galaxy. It's the Yuzon Vongs, for one. There's no Ben. Yeah, the list goes on. Like, literally a book could be written on all the mistakes Disney has made on Star Wars, and they still wouldn't read that book. Anyways, for the moment, it is what it is until they decide to accept their loss and mistakes before they really bankrupt it. And I mean, they have had some flirty moments with that, and they know it. They don't want to be flirting with that anymore. They should accept their loss, scrap the mistakes, read the books that my generation is calling them out on, and start over. Because we're not against the films. We're not against them making films. Just do the story right. That's all we're asking. Because there is a story. There always was one. And there is no legend in canon because this is not Star Trek. This is Star Wars. But anyways, Master Qui-Gon, SWGOH.GG does recommend the support character being defense and speed. I say speed and tenacity is another possibility. Speed and potency is another possibility. Depending on what direction you want to go with them. Whether you want them for defensive purpose or offense purposes. You can give him, just kind of double up what he's doing as a support character, or give him tank-like character's abilities as a protector. So, whichever direction. Master Qui-Gon's mods, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comments, questions, suggestions down below. And thank you for following. May the Force be with you.